So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by clicking on the PayPal link in the description box, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Also, leave us a thumbs up. It helps us get more views.
But I'm all in. Everything. My family, my name, my treasure, my blood. I'm ready. It's all in. Let me tell you, making that decision at a spiritual level is like coming out of Egypt. It's like coming out of Babylon. The minute you decide to be all in is the minute you start living. And the Russians and the Iranians, to not let al-Qaeda take control of Syria, to shut that down. Our own military rebelled against Obama. We told you about it first, Colonel Schaefer and other guests, and years later it all came out. I mean, where else is it going to come out but InfoWars? Other people are just too big a coward, just like Vegas. We told you all that was fake and multiple shooters and people shooting inside the hotels, and it's all come out. Got a whole stack of that I haven't even gotten to yet. But I'm decisive when something can be decisive. And I agree the globalists have appeased Iran and the whole thing's a mess, and then they're belligerent and threatening. But at the same time, are we going to get into a big regional war with Iran now?
I want to pause the video there just for a quick second and chime in. The answer to that question is yes, we are going to go to war with Iran. The word of the Lord to me was that, and let me just back up here. When I say the word of the Lord, I'm not talking about a generic Lord, because the word Lord could mean Allah, it could mean all kinds of things. I'm talking about Yod He Vav He, Yahweh, the Elohim, the God of the Bible, the creator of the universe. Yahweh spoke to me and said that Iran will be the next big war. There will be boots on the ground. It'll be ugly. It will be bloody. And although we might be thrusted into that war as a result of neocons, warmongers who don't have pure hearts, ultimately, sovereignly, Yahweh is going to use our war with Iran to protect Israel. This is the same Yahweh that spoke to me back in April of 2016. I had a visit from an angel at 2:22 a.m. in the morning. It appeared to me I could see the angel let me know that Donald Trump would be a great American president. This was before he was elected. It was when everybody was saying he couldn't possibly win. And when Yahweh speaks, it comes to pass. In fact, I remember just a week before the election, or days before, or even the day of, when everybody was saying Clinton was going to win, and I was on a college campus telling students that no, an angel appeared to me and told me that back in April that Trump would be a great American president, and so he's going to win the presidency. So when Yahweh speaks, it comes to pass. And so when all the sword rattling with North Korea began, rather than getting my blood going or getting worried about, are we going to go to war with North Korea, I said, Yahweh, what's going on here? And he said, don't worry about it. It's all just a setup for the war with Iran. And so I've been saying that now for months and months and months whenever I see some of the other news people covering all the North Korea and putting questions out there like, will we go to war with North Korea? And I'm not saying that there won't be any bombs dropped in North Korea, though it wouldn't surprise me if no bombs were dropped in North Korea. But my point is that the next big war, the real setup is for Iran. That is the next big war. And like I said, Yahweh will even use, bad people to get his will accomplished, or he'll use bad intentioned people, but he'll be using lots of people, because he'll also be using good intentioned soldiers and patriots who are forced to go to war. But the reason I bring this up is because oftentimes those of us who are pushing information that tends to be what they categorize as alt-right or independent or patriotic, one area where I think we miss it is that there's never a time for war. Some people just think that we should just mind our own business and there's never a time for war. And I don't even think in terms of, big, giant broad stroke political ideology like that myself. What I just try to do, the way I try to function, is I try to just hear what the Holy Spirit says, do what the Holy Spirit says, and then see why, and just let Yahweh do his thing. That way I get to enjoy whatever's happening. I don't have to make sure that my particular way of thinking is adhered to by everybody else. So what I'm saying is that there are times when Yahweh himself, in fact, the Bible calls Yahweh the Lord of War, the mighty one. He's the host of an army of angels even. And there were times when he sent Israel to war. So Yahweh's not as appalled by bloodshed as we are. In fact, he'll use it to accomplish his purposes, and he has been for thousands of years. And so I just want to encourage everybody to be prayerful, begin praying for salvation of those people in Iran, because there will be mass casualties in Iran. And so we need to pray that folks get saved before, because usually it's the innocents die in a big war. Innocent folks will die in a big war. And so we want to pray for the Iranian people, because we will go to war with Iran. There will be much bloodshed. It will be the next big war. Now back to Alex Jones.
And they've got real terror cells that have been brought into this country in Europe. It's going to be spectacular. And listen, if folks want big wars, and people like Iran want one, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not looking for it, but I'm not really worried about it. It's a miracle we've been here this long. But I just look at, I know what Trump's doing. Where we've been maneuvered by the whole Hollywood globalist elite and the big mega bankers that just want to be Hollywood stars, who took control of the global economy and then made themselves richer than God, basically, but then cut off the economy to make people poor so they could dictate the terms of their surrender, so they could then cuck Christians and people that are the strength of the nation. I mean, this is just a bunch of really degenerate, neurotic, weird stuff, where Hollywood and the globalists want to force us into a bathroom with them so they can bathe naked in front of us and then come out and rape us. And that's basically what it is. They say, your kids belong to us, you belong to us, behave, follow this societal comportment, or we're going to destroy your life. Because they knew our weakness. As decent Christian people, we have a moral compass. We have a conscience. And so they remove the conscience of being good and hardworking and taking care of your children and not lying. And they replaced it with, oh, you've got to teach 5-year-olds that they might not be a boy or a girl, and you've got to let other third parties come and sexualize them. That's your new religion. And that's all they've done. They've taken all the uptight extremes of Christianity and cults using the Christian faith to control people. That's what most of these churches and movements are. And they've just flipped it around, and boy, did we get down in the muck with it and follow it and get into all this self-loathing and all this guilt and just buy into it all. And then those of us that have consciences become the slaves of people that don't, and they sit there with their little whip, yeah, mule, yeah, keeping us right in line. Well, not me. I love God because I know God's real, and I've had spiritual experiences, and I know God's plan. At least I've seen some of it, and it's beautiful, and I want to be part of it. But I don't find God in these churches. My spirit finds the devil. They told Christ, why are you hanging around with these prostitutes and tax collectors, the most hated people at that time? And he said, because they don't claim they're good. They don't claim they've already got it all figured out. They don't pray up on the hilltop in front of everybody else about how good they are and then go around and arrest people and shake people down and, have the tax collector do it. The tax collector actually goes out and does it. He has to be hated. What about the people behind that tell him to go out and do it? See, I used to attack the TSA all day long. So I realized we let Congress do that. Congress did that. They set all that up. They bring the Islamics in. They let them attack. And then they turn around and then, I'm just going to blame the TSA people. Yeah. I stopped being a hypocrite. I grew up. And look, I mean, I was always somewhat on target for 20-something years on air, but you really look at the cop-outs in the world. Like, I let Congress do that. You let Congress do that. I'm not going to sit there at some schlub working at the TSA who really thinks he's trying to look for terrorists. And sure, there's a few perverts and criminals in there as well, and it's a bureaucracy, and it's bad, and I don't like it, and I say get rid of it. But you know what? You know who really let people sit there and try to grope my children? Is the public of this country. The NFL-watching, wannabe tough guys that run their mouths all day but wouldn't do anything. When it came down to the line, they'd turn and they'd run as fast as they could from any type of real challenge. Here's the difference. I'm not running. Because you know what I'm scared of? I'm scared of running. I'm scared of being a coward. Only thing that feels good is going straight up against this thing. And that's why the globalists hate us so much, because they know they can't scare us. Because I'm already scared of separation from God. I've already tied into that energy. I've already dialed into it. And it's so good that I'm actually ashamed at how fearless I am. Because I should worry about myself and my family. And it's not some wanton thing or some negligent thing where I threw the fear aside. But still, there's shadows and echoes of that. But I'm all in. Everything. My family, my name, my treasure, my blood. I'm ready. It's all in. Let me tell you, making that decision at a spiritual level is like coming out of Egypt. It's like coming out of Babylon. The minute you decide to be all in is the minute you start living. And then you start knowing that this is all just a test. You don't want to commit suicide. You don't want to die. But you're not afraid anymore, and you realize God's holding your hand. So you want to stay here for your family and stay here to take on the enemy. But you want to be with God. The only thing that matters in this universe is that when you get buried 6 feet under, you're with God. Because God is all about free will. And God isn't going to be there if you don't want him to be. And that, my friends, is what separates us, is that choice. People that are so insecure, that are so weak, that they would, out of fear, give into this spirit, believing it would deal with them easier.
If you're interested to learn how to create content and spread content, we'll show you how. Go to the Operation Hal YouTube channel, click on the About button, and then click Message. Send us an email. If you want to engage, become an info warrior, we will train you up.
If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon below the video to get notified when the latest new content drops.
Keep us in your prayers. We get a lot of resistance for putting these videos out, but to Yahweh be the glory.